Welcome back to DUBBZI Bricks for another episode of Building Gotham City in Lego, and here we are back at Arkham Asylum, and we're going to be working on this build over the next couple of updates. And the reason being is I've decided that I'm going to be taking this to BRICKCON in Cork at the end of March. So I've only got a few weeks to go. I've got a lot on in my private life over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be one mad rush to get this all ready. As you can see, there are a lot of pieces missing at the moment. We've got no window glass on the side here. There's loads of bits missing on the front there. We've actually stolen the 1x2 dark brown tiles off of the front there for our IG88 mocks. I need to take those back and put them back on there. But we have had a lot of pieces come in for the build, such as the windows at the top here. We've got the correct piece that we want for that. We've got the sand green windows to go in there. We've got a load more of the fence elements. So a whole load of things that we need to get sorted. Now, one other thing I want to do is get the water all completed. I know I've mentioned that a few times, but I need that to be completed as I want to take the extra base plates over there when I display this. And I also want to get the bridge sorted for Arkham. Now, I'm not sure what I want the bridge to look like, so we're going to knock something up and hopefully it's going to look how I want it to, but it could very well change in the future because this is DUBBZI Bricks and we need to make sure that it looks exactly how we want it to. So without further ado, let's get the pieces out. Let's find out what we have actually had come in the last couple of orders, and let's make a start on getting Arkham looking that much more complete. And we're just experimenting with the window colours of the greenhouse, and the sand green just looked a little bit too light for my liking. I think the sand green and the white goes fantastic for this sort of build. However, being Gotham, being Arkham, it needed to be a little bit darker feeling. So I've tried these dark green ones, but I don't think they match. I'm just wondering whether it's the white bricks that need to be changed over. But what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to try these dark brown window frames. Got just enough here to get it done. So we're going to try those and see how that looks. And much happier with this choice of window colour. I think it's just what I'm after with the build. I didn't really want to lose the white bricks as I like that, bringing that little bit of lightness to Arkham Asylum and the island itself. So this has worked out as a perfect compromise. And I think with the glass as well, the plants are really going to stand out behind it with the vibrant colours that hopefully we'll be able to get into that. What I think I will do as well is, because I want to have it as if Poison Ivy's really gone to town in there, I'm going to leave it so there's a few panels of glass missing, and we've actually got the plants coming out of the greenhouse, and the same on the top here. I want it to be really overgrown on that section to bring this as much to life as possible. So let's get this section all tiled off around the top here, and the studs just inside as well, and then we'll make a start on putting the plants inside. And here we have the first attempt at the greenhouse for it being all overgrown, and I'm not sure whether to put any glass panels in there at all. I think it looks quite good actually having them out so you can see in there that a little bit easier. But yeah, I'm sure I'll make a few more tweaks to this. It's my first attempt at doing this sort of thing. I feel it's very narrow down the front section just there. It might even pay me to actually remove a couple of the actual window pieces so I can get more plant pieces coming out of there. But it would be nice to have some sort of Venus flytrap, a massive head coming out of the very top of that, and possibly have Poison Ivy on there. But we'll have a good think about it and see what we can come up with. And there we have the dark brown tiles put onto the corners of the wall once again, and we've also started the bars by the window. However, I can't seem to find any more, and these ones here I actually had to take off of the top of the fence here. So I'm not too bothered about the fence because it is up quite high. It's not like you're going to have loads of people jumping over the top of it, so it is just a deterrent there after all. But it is something I will work on again in the future. But as I mentioned, at the moment I am just trying to get this ready for a convention in the best way possible. On the side here we've got the new window designs as well. I did look at changing these window pieces here to the ones that you see in the latest Arkham set, but it didn't look right on this build, so I've just gone for using this grill piece over them, and I think that looks absolutely fine. And then on the top here, we've tiled off all of the roof surfaces as well. And I've left some studs exposed there for putting some more details on. And this is the next area that we're going to be looking at just here. And it's whether or not we can fit an additional wing onto Arkham Asylum. I would quite like to have a second wing so we can fit more inmates into Arkham. We have got inside the maximum security downstairs, and then there's a room for just patients which are not of any threat to society, and they've got their common room, and then their beds will be upstairs, and it'll be like a shared ward. But the more dangerous inmates, which need to be locked up in cells, they're the ones that we need to find a home for. So that's where we're just looking. But on the back here also, we need to have exercise yard as well, and there are a couple other details that I want to add to this section as well, but it's whether or not I can fit everything in that I want to. Things like guard towers, for example, originally I was going to have them on the actual island itself. I was considering putting one on the lighthouse just here, but what I'm thinking will probably look the best, and this is something I think I mentioned before, is actually having some additional rock work out in the water, and then the guard tower is actually on that rock work, and then there'd just be a bridge connecting the two together. So I think that could look really unique for Arkham. So let's just start working out how big the sails need to be for this area and how big a room I can get on here without making this look overcrowded. And there we have the footprint for the additional wing onto Arkham Asylum. And I'm thinking I'm actually going to do this in black and dark bluish grey as opposed to light bluish grey. And although all the rock work is dark bluish grey, I'm hoping that with all of the black on there, it is going to not blend in too much with the rock work. What I'll do is I'll just build a small section up to start with and just check that I'm happy with that. But at least now we've still got all of this space at the back to do things like the exercise yard, and there's a couple of other details as well. If I can fit in there, I would like to do so. And here we have the new structure. I'm much happier with it being this way round. I think I'm just going to go for 2 floors up to about this area just here, then the roof. I think if I was to go any higher, the balcony area there wouldn't look as good, so we don't want to go too high with that. And this will be a modular build, so we'll do the first floor, tile it off as we did with this building, and then we'll do the next one after that. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about lights in this area just yet, and what other features we're going to have in here, so we just need to have a good think about that. We have got plenty of gaps here, and there's another one down the end there, so we've got plenty of places where we can store wires should we need to do so. But what I'll probably do is put a wireless connector board on the bottom of this structure, and then we'll connect that up to the power supply elsewhere on the island rather than having a battery box in this particular structure. So let's take this back over to the table and continue building up. And here we have the first floor all in place, and I've decided to go for the windows with the bars on looking like so, and had a couple of different options available to me. One was having the window round the other way, and this is the way you would normally have it if you had glass in there. So we had that as one option. However, I didn't think it looked quite as good as this way here. Having the bars set back, to me, it just gave it a little bit more depth. Now, another option I had was I was going to put a row of 1x1 black bricks on either side of the window and have a 2x window in the middle, and then use these bars, attach them to a clip just below the window, and then they would have been just protrude in the wall, which would be very similar in style to the ones around the front. However, it didn't look quite right. So this is the option that I've decided on. If once I finish the build, I change my mind, it is very easy. It's just a case of removing a couple of plates and tiles, as this is going to be a modular build, and then I can just swap the windows over. So it's not set in stone having it like this. Now, one thing I do need to decide on is the height of each floor. At the moment, I was happy with this when I was over at my table. However, when I brought it over, I realised we're actually a whole brick lower than the floors on here. Now, I was going to be having a black line all the way around on each floor. as I've got the grey one there. However, if I do that, then the lines aren't going to line up with that on the build there, so it may not necessarily look right. So I've got a couple of options. I can just carry on doing everything in the dark bluish grey, which will look absolutely fine. If I do keep the floors this height, the one advantage I've got is if I did do 3 floors, it would only come to about here on the build. So I could have the roof and then it's not going to interfere with the balcony area up there. So it's just something I'm thinking about at the moment. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this over, get this all tiled off, and make a start on the next floor up. And then we'll just carry on working our way up and just see how it looks when we get there. And there we have the second floor all in place. Earlier on I said that these floors were 1 brick shorter than the floors on the main building there, and that's actually incorrect. As you can see, we're still only 1 brick away from the plate level just there, and I think what it is this build is actually just 1 brick lower into the island than what the main structure is just there. That's why it's looking different from when I previously showed you. So we are going to leave it at just the 2 floors, as I don't want to interrupt with the balcony at the very top there. So what I need to do now is just tile this top section off here and then work out what we're going to do for a roof section on this part of the build. I just realised I haven't shown you the inside of this just yet. So we've got 3 cells down the bottom here. This is the doorway that's going to lead to the exercise yard, and this is going to be a kitchen area. Along here, I will put some tables and chairs where the inmates will be able to have something to eat. Then on here, we've got the next floor up, and that just rests on there. And at the back here, I'm going to be putting some showers. That'd be the washroom in that part. I did want to put somewhere where there was going to be some washing machines. However, there's not room in this particular build, so we have to put those in the other building. And here we have the start of the roof section, and I'm using a load of the 1x2 slopes, and I put a 1x2 plate on every other one, so it's giving it the nice ridged effect on here. Now, one thing I am considering doing with this roof section is actually having a hole in the centre here and putting a skylight in. I thought that might give the roof a little bit more character. I would like to tile off all the way around, and I have managed to find 2 of these 16x8 tiles. So that's going to take up a fair portion of the space on there. So that's going to be really good, as I'm getting very low on my black tiles. Anyway, let's carry on building this up and get a lot more strength into the roof section. And there we have the roof section all built up, and it's quite a heavy roof section this. It's so solid. The amount of bricks I put in there to make sure that it's nice and sturdy. And here we have our skylight. And how I've gone about doing so is we've got a snot brick along here, which has got a plate attached to it. Got the 4 windows with a tile on there, and then in this side here we've got another snot brick, and then I've attached one of these brackets to it with a tile on the top, and then that's keeping everything at the exact right height. So when this is back in there, you can push down and the window is not going to fall through. So there we have it, and you can see, push down, no problems. And there we have the structure with the roof on, all on the island, and really pleased with how it's coming along. Colour wise, I'm really happy with it, and I'm glad I've gone for these colours. With the exercise yard that's going to be out the back here, I'm not sure what colour I'm going to do the walls on that yet, whether to go with the reddish brown to keep it in keeping with the rest of the walls on there, or whether to go for the light bluish grey. So I think I'll experiment a little bit with that. The one problem I've got at the moment is the light is so bad in this part of the garage that, as you can see, it's really dark around here at the moment, whereas when this is actually on display at an exhibition, the light will be a lot better. So I just need to make sure that I do get that all correct. Now, on the bottom of the structure here, we've tiled this off and also put some of the grill tiles in between there, and I think again it just looks just how I want it to look. So yeah, that's all good. On the top here, on the roof, on the corner, there's no slope that goes on a corner for this size, the 2x, or at least I haven't seen one. So what I've done is I put a 2x2 jumper plate there, then used one of these slopes, and it's gone in there at a 45-degree angle, put a tile on the top, and then we got a wedge plate on top of that, which is just keeping it all in place. And I think the corners look really nice. So yeah, happy with how that's come out. Now on the top here, I've tiled as much as I can, but I'm struggling to find black tiles. I'm sure I've got some more, so I'm just going to need to have a good look for them. But I have left some studs exposed here, and this is for putting like air conditioning units or whatever else you might find on a roof. Over here, we're going to put some chimney pieces, as you got the showering below here, so there's going to be some steam coming out and whatnot. So yeah, that's all good. But yeah, really happy with how that's all come together, and yeah, can't wait to start working on the other details around the grounds now, starting to tidy that all off, put the greenery on there. And then once I've done that, I can then start work on the bridge. So yeah, running out of time rapidly here, trying to get this all ready for BRICKCON in Cork. But yeah, looking forward so much to going to that. Anyway, that's all we have time for. Hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Gotham City in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for hopping on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.